Hello, friends, and welcome back to the channel. I heard Lou Rock out there, and then I saw Pepino Man, so let's get back to showing some cards.
Isn't that what you usually do?
I have quite a few cards I have picked up in the last couple months that I haven't really highlighted, so I'm going to get to showing those, and I might throw a VR in along the way. So let's get rolling.
Enough talk!
Hello, friends. I am John, and I am the 3D 80s kid. If any of you caught my VR for Return to Collecting that was called My Dream Cards, I gave you a little glimpse at my spreadsheet that I'm using to track my Hall of Fame collecting project.
Ooh, spreadsheets. Yum, yum.
And I have actually made quite a few tick marks to that spreadsheet in the last few months. Some of these cards made brief cameos in my recent music video that was the VR for Theo's channel, but here, let me run through them real quick. Starting with some 1972 Topps cards. Here's a Ted Simmons, longtime catcher who started his career in St. Louis, but of course I knew him in the 80s with the Milwaukee Brewers when he was one of the leaders of that team that went to the 82 World Series and actually lost to the St. Louis Cardinals. So Ted Simmons there. And then I've got Mr. Jim Palmer, one of the best pitchers of the 1970s. And of course, I ended up knowing him, unfortunately, as a jockey underwear model.
It's tough to reach perfection, like pitching a perfect game. But Jockey brand underwear really comes close, with the comfort and quality of pure comb cotton. And real quality means real value. I always wear Jockey brand, either classic white or fashion colors. If I pitched the way Jockey makes underwear, I'd never lose a game.
I've got longtime Cub Billy Williams, another great outfielder with the Cubs. And not quite making my cheap cards list by a few dollars was Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. Another great card there of his. And then didn't make my cheap cards video because I hadn't got it in the mail yet. But this guy would have been there since that little bit of OC cards need love too, made it where I got able to get this one for only $20. So great addition here. Another one that just missed the video by being in the mail a few days too long. Jim Kaat there, only $17 for this one. And then moving a little farther back, I was able to get this 55 Hal Newhouser. Now this guy was the king of the World War II era of baseball. He had a stretch from 1945 to 47 that is one of the best 3-year stretches of pitching performance in the history of baseball. He actually won the MVP award in 45 and 46 and was the runner-up in 47. His nickname was actually Prince Hal because of how he carried himself.
He's got to stick up his butt.
Up next from 50 Bowman, I've got Luke Appling. Longtime Chicago White Sox great at shortstop. One of his better hitting seasons was actually at the age of 42, which is astounding. And one of my memories of him was playing in what they used to have during the All-Star break of a old-timers game. And he hit a home run, it turned out, off of, I believe, Warren Spahn in that game at the age of 75. He was the oldest player in this old-timers game in 1982.
For the American League, leading off, Hall of Famer Luke Appling. Deep to left field, way back there, home run, Luke Appling, 75 years old. I told you when you were talking about him at the start, he could still swing that bat, 75 or nothing.
From 51 Bowman, I've got this Lou Boudreau, great shortstop that spent time with the Indians and the Red Sox. Great hitter for the shortstop position. And I've also picked up my first 1952 Topps card, and that would be Hall of Fame pitcher Bob Lemon. And then my last one that is already slabbed up was in my pre-war showcase that was the recent live that Theo and I did together, I showed this 33 Goudey Joe Sewell, and it looks awful nice in the front, which makes this one grade kind of surprising, but it is one of those scrapbook cards that got ripped off the scrapbook to end up in a slab here.
I wanted it for my collection.
He has the unfortunate distinction of being the Cleveland Indians shortstop replacement for Ray Chapman. If you don't know about Ray Chapman, in 1920, he was the starting shortstop for the Indians, and he was struck in the head by a batted ball and became the first major leaguer in history to die from an injury on the field. At the time when the ball hit him in the side of the head, the story is that it struck so hard that it bounced back to the pitcher. The pitcher threw it to first base thinking it had hit him on his bat. And a moment later, he collapsed, and he died within the next day from the injury to his skull there. So fortunate Ray Chapman, but Joe Sewell ended up having a great career, helping the Indians that year to the World Series in 1920, and then proceeding on to have a Hall of Fame career. You can see him here in the pinstripes as he was on the Yankees at this point, but great looking addition to the set. On the ungraded front, I have picked up a few cards as well. Some more 72s. So I got a Gaylord Perry. Now this one, while it says Indians, he was actually on the Giants for this picture, which is why they did it this way, where you can't see the logo on the hat or the logo on the jersey. So they didn't have to bother with the airbrushing since they used the photo of this style. He had just ended up on the Indians for the 72 season. So then we got Jim Catfish Hunter, Fergie Jenkins, long time Cubby. Of course, his rookie was with the Phillies, but he barely spent any time there. Spent most of his career on the Cubs. Then Giants pitching great, Juan Marichal. Gets pretty much overshadowed, but was one of the great pitchers there of the 60s. But with Gibson and Koufax, there weren't any awards left for Marichal to win as far as Cy Youngs go, but he had a great career. Then long-time Atlanta Brave knuckleballer Phil Niekro. I mean, I had cards of him in my collection from the early 80s with the Braves, but super long career throwing that knuckleball. And then moving back in time a little bit, I've got a 1950 card of Joe, known as Flash Gordon as a nickname. Savior of the universe. Here with the Indians, did most of his prime there, more like he started in the pre-war era, but I'm going economical. Cheap. Here with my collection, so I pulled this 50 Bowman. Spent most of his prime years though with the Yankees, where he earned his way into the Hall of Fame. So Joe Gordon, and then another player who in this one is with the Yankees. Also, he started with the Cardinals though. Is Johnny Mize with this beautiful 53 tops here. Shout out to Joe at Force Off Corners, who is one card away from that complete set. My last card not in a slab was dipping into pre-war. It's going to be one of the cards I will show for my next pre-war showcase, which should be in a few weeks. This one is a 1922 W573 of Pittsburgh Hall of Famer Max Carey. He was a longtime Pirates center fielder, and one of his best years was 1925, where he helped the Pirates to the World Series, where they ended up defeating the Senators in 7 games. His World Series numbers were like a 458 batting average. If they had given the World Series MVP award back in 25, they didn't start giving them until 55, he would have been the winner. But nevertheless, Max Carey, an all-time great. And these W573s, these are exactly like the 1921-22 U.S. Carmel cards, only these ones have a blank back. So that is the distinction. The front is pretty much identical on those cards. I did pick up one card in a different slab because it was such a bargain. I was able to get my first dog food card.
That's Buster's dog food.
I got this 1954 Red Heart George Kell in a BBG 5.5, and this card is in great shape. And apparently BVG is so ill-regarded as far as the hobby goes that I was able to get this card for so much cheaper than if I had tried to find a raw card of a similar quality in terms of the condition of the card. It's incredible. I was able to get this for $39.99, and there wasn't any opposition to me in the auction. Whereas if it completely ungraded, it's only beaters that were being available, sold anywhere close to that price. Anything that looked similar condition to this was being sold, buy it now for more like $100. So
That's completely nuts.
one of the cool things I actually got from one of these raw cards sellers was, sometimes they'll throw in random cards with the card. And one of them happened to throw in this Dale Murphy card, which is not something I collected. I did collect every single one of his Atlanta Braves standard issue cards as a kid, because the Braves being my team and Murphy being my guy. I kind of intentionally avoided his cards once he was traded away. I was a little bitter.
I am not bitter.
This card fits in nicely with the VR by Fast Breaks and Breakfast, where they're talking about players on cards with uniforms that aren't the ones you think of them. Everybody thinks Dale Murphy, longtime Atlanta Brave. He spent 2.5 unfortunate seasons very poorly with the Phillies and one small chunk with the Rockies.
I'd completely blocked it from my memory, okay?
Before ultimately retiring, but he will always be a Brave in our hearts. Which reminds me of a couple other cards that I had gotten from my collection, where I felt the same way, that I had gotten this Richie Ashburn 60 Topps card when I was doing my Hall of Fame run there, but it just didn't feel right, because you think Richie Ashburn and you think Phillies. So that's why I ended up replacing him up there with my 53 Bowman Richie Ashburn in his proper uniform. And then also I did the same thing with Mr. Red Schoendienst here with the Braves, when he, the guy belongs in a Cardinals uniform, and there he is right below Richie in a Cardinals uniform. So there you go. Great channel, Fast Breaks and Breakfast, father-daughter duo.
It's awesome.
Last thing I've got to show is one of my awesome friends in this hobby community, Matt and Tyrus of The Card Story, sent me a care package out of the blue. They're just going wild right now, sending gifts to all their friends. And I was the fortunate recipient of a package from them, which contained, first of all, this card here. 52 Topps Ted Kluszewski, great pose and swing. Very reminiscent to me of his swing on this card. Clearly not as badass, though, since he's still got sleeves on, but a beautiful card. Thanks, Matt and Ty. But then the big prize of their gift here was this guy here that adds to my pre-war collection. We've got a 1936 National Chico Pie Trainer. Great third baseman with the Pirates. Was a teammate of this guy here on that 25 World Series team, Max Carey. And also on that team was Vic Aldridge, right, Matt? So connection there. Matt's last name is Aldridge, so he did a little collection of Vic Aldridge cards. But beautiful addition. This thing is a oversized with a blank back. I'm going to have to figure out now how I want to arrange things on my wall to accommodate oversized items long term. So
Yeah, but first world problems,
Thank you very much, Matt and Ty, for this. It was awesome. So generous. Thank you so much. But on that note, that oversized item does remind me of something I picked up a while back. My favorite TV show in 7th grade, thanks to Nick at Night, which for those of you that are maybe too young or don't know, the channel Nickelodeon on cable used to, in the 80s and 90s, show classic TV shows at nighttime with their segment of Nick at Night. One of those shows was Mr. Ed, of which this was the human star of that show, Alan Young, who played the character Wilbur Post. And he happened to have a connection with possibly, we don't know, maybe one of the greatest baseball players who never got a chance to play in the major leagues. On the way out of this video here, why don't you check out this clip of, possibly one of the greatest players ever. So, everybody, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
I'll show them who's the brains of this outfit.
Well, Leo, I hope you win those 3 games in your home stand.
Why, we're a cinch, thanks to... Hey, what's going on out there? What's all this clowning around here, John? You know we got a big game tonight.
Ignore my horse. He's just a show-off.
It was the horse's idea, Leo. We look around, and there he is with a bat in his mouth.
It'll make a great publicity shot, Leo.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Say, is it okay if Sandy tosses one to him nice and easy?
Sure. Ed wants to make a fool of himself. It's okay with me.
All right. Sandy, nice and easy, huh, buddy? Okay, John.
Did you see that?
I don't believe it.
Slide in! Slide!
You know, that's the smartest horse I ever saw.
Oh, he's not so smart. He forgot to touch second base.